Omar was released in 2013 and is about a young Palestinian freedom fighter named Omar who becomes an Israeli informant to protect himself and the ones he loves after being framed for several murders. This movie is written and directed by Hani Abu Assad, also known for his work on Paradise Now and The Mountain Between Us. This movie had a combination of limited and film festival releases over the course of 2013 and 2014. Its apparent worldwide gross didn't do very well, only making a little over $600,000 as compared to its estimated $2.1 million budget, according to IMDb. However, it was critically well received, even getting nominated for an Oscar for Best Foreign Language Film in 2014, competing in a very stacked year against the likes of Thomas Vinterberg's The Hunt, my personal favorite, Felix von Groningen's The Broken Circle Breakdown, and it ultimately lost to Paolo Sorrentino's The Great Beauty. The movie starts with Omar crossing the West Bank border wall to visit the girl he intends to marry, Nadia. We see him go through what seems to be his daily or at least frequent routine, managing to avoid IDF patrols and check marks and narrowly avoiding getting shot when he crosses back over the wall. He is then caught on a path by an IDF patrol who indiscriminately harasses and humiliates him for several hours. After that, he meets up with his childhood friends, Tarek and Amjad, showing that they are part of the resistance fighters of that area of the West Bank. Now, this is a movie that did really surprise me. I watched it on Netflix earlier this year, and despite its Oscar nomination, I had never heard anything about it before. Hani Abu Assad injects this story with a very passionate energy that does resonate with you as an audience member when it unfolds. Adam Bakri, who plays Omar, is in his very first film role. He manages to balance the complex emotions the character goes through with incredible nuance. It still surprises me that this is Adam's first role and that he hasn't had a whole lot of work since. Credit to Abu Assad's direction. He is able to capture very compelling performances from several first-time actors in this film, probably most notably Liam Lubani as Nadia. And I do apologize if I'm getting any name pronunciations incorrect in this. I did try to look up everybody's, and sometimes it just doesn't come up. Omar and his friends conduct a nighttime attack on a checkpoint, with Amjad killing a soldier. When he is captured, Omar is tricked into a confession by Rami, an Israeli officer posing as a prisoner. Now facing a lifetime sentence, Omar agrees to become an informant for Rami, specifically gaining intel on Tarek, who is now leading the faction Omar is in, and is unfortunately Nadia's brother. Rami is played by Walid Zuwaiter, who does a fantastic job playing a character who can feign personability to gain others' trust. He is a deceivingly cruel man who, much like the IDF, takes advantage of the power he has over Omar. This is a very complicated movie on purpose. There are no purely good or evil characters in this story. Most sit in a morally gray area. Omar is willing to kill his people's oppressors, but he is also willing to sell out his friend to save his own skin. He's not really a hero, but he is the protagonist and does try to do the right thing. He is specifically contrasted by Tarek and Nadia, one character crueler and one character morally good. While you are on Omar's side, Abu Assad pulls no punches to show what a resistance fighter would have to do. There are several moments that are hard to watch throughout this story, and most of them lay within the emotional aspect of Omar's experiences. You become very attached to him and his desire to stay free. You want him to find a way out. He has to be able to give usable intel to Rami while withholding information that would get more hurt, while trying to keep anyone on his side from finding out he's a rat. He's avoiding death on one side for being a traitor, and eventual death after life imprisonment on the other side. During all of this, he also tries to maintain a relationship with Nadia, the only solace he has for happiness in this situation. While I am trying to avoid any spoilers, I do want to talk about the emotional involvement you have watching this movie. Abu Assad translates Omar's emotions to the audience in a completely engrossing way. Despite whatever reservations you have for Omar, you do feel for him. When he is tricked and deceived, you feel like you're in his shoes, specifically in one scene where information that'll ruin his romantic life and aspirations is revealed to him. I felt my stomach churn in the same way that it does for Omar. along with a lot of the interactions he has with Rami. Credit to Walid, Rami comes off as trustworthy and fair and kind of a friend at points, but that's also the purpose. And you don't know about kind of the underhandedness of the character until Omar finds out more information on him too. And you feel betrayed as an audience member, and you kind of sit in that same anger that Omar has. After a good amount of time being stuck in this predicament of being an informant, you can tell it really weighs on Omar. You can feel his despair and loneliness, and his mental state eventually reflects his physical state. And Adam Bakri is in step with every moment. He really does give a gripping performance. The character work for him and the main supporting characters is very strong. They are all well fleshed out, and you understand their motivations and desires. Like I said before, this is an emotionally complex movie. There are no real winners in what is basically a war. It is a testament to the human condition and human resilience. It is also a testament to the strength of the Palestinian people. You understand the environment everyone is living in and why they'd have the beliefs that they do and why they react in certain ways. It feels realistic and lived in. Nothing here feels like it's exaggerated for the sake of being a movie. It is dramatic in the ways that it needs to be for storytelling's sake, and it's shot well, but it feels like a real story you'd hear about someone who is not that important within a resistance ranking getting tricked into a lifelong servitude to their enemy. Now, this is a fairly short movie, and I do think it could have used a little bit more time with Omar, but it does ultimately utilize its time very well. I would have wanted a little bit more development for the third act of the movie. There's a small time jump, and I would have liked to have seen a little bit more explained, especially for the main supporting characters here. And while I won't spoil what does specifically happen, the movie's final moments are outstandingly cathartic. After a movie full of real and emotional fighting, it has one of the best endings I've seen in recent memory, and it solidifies itself as a strong call to fight back. This movie is about resistance and the human spirit, how there will always be some kind of love within times of conflict, and how the conflict is unforgiving. It's an exceptionally compelling story and is one of my favorite hidden gems I didn't know about that I watched this year. I will be rating Omar an A-. Now, when I was originally writing this review, I wasn't going to talk in depth about the current obvious conflict between Israel and Palestine. Now, with Donald Trump being the president-elect and the implications of what will happen to the people in Gaza with his administration in charge, I think it is incredibly important to say that I stand with the people of Gaza. The genocide happening there is disgusting and atrocious, and I do fear even more for them with people like Stephen Miller and Jared Kushner back in the White House. It should not be controversial to say that any death on either side is deplorable. I am not here to break down the political complexities of this conflict, and I'm not here to hear anyone else's opinion on this subject matter specifically. Gazans could very well lose the little humanitarian aid they are getting from the US, and any justification for ethnic cleansing is unacceptable and disgusting. I think this is an important movie to watch in these times. The preservation of art is important, and art that reflects the people is important to see. Thank you for watching. I will be back with another video.